everybody. Live and in color, the end of the Justice League.
Don't make me laugh.
It's no joke.
Storyboards are a blueprint for the animators. It's a visual interpretation of the script. It has all the information that an animator will need. Camera directions, effects, the timing. The script is really the starting point, but in terms of visualization, the storyboard is what really gets the ball rolling.
Joker, you nauseate me.
Oh, he's going to miss the show.
On a typical show, we'll get the script, and I'll have to break it down to decide who gets what part. You cast the storyboard the same way you kind of cast the actors, because they really are acting with a pencil. And there's some people that are more your action-oriented, and then there are others that are more acting-oriented. You work with the strengths of the artists.
Each of you is the best in the world at what you do, and I have need of your unique services.
Storyboard artists come from all kinds of backgrounds. A lot of times comic book artists, because they're already used to telling stories on paper. But it takes special kinds of comic book artists, ones that really, really absorb film and understand how things move, because comic books don't move.
The beauty of a storyboard is that it will never actually be seen on the screen. That's the one big difference between doing a comic book and a storyboard. Traditionally, we have 3 storyboard artists per episode. We usually break the show up into 3 acts. Each storyboard artist is responsible usually for 1 act. And that comes out to about anywhere between 150 to 200 pages of drawings per act. A storyboard can be very, very rough, and in some places it's actually better if it is rough.
Artists tend to draw things their own ways. You want to have it be on model. You want it to look like what the show's supposed to look like. If a guy really had to draw it exactly that way, it would take a lot longer.
Generally for us, it's a couple of weeks to rough and a couple of weeks to clean up the final board. We generally don't ask them to make things too tight, because that kind of limits overseas animation studios. It's a tricky thing. You don't want to draw too much and you don't want to draw too little. You just want to draw enough to give them the essence of what we want the scene to be, or what the cartoon should look like.
The best at what you do. What was I thinking?
We did everything we could.
Did you? Did you fight like your lives depended on it? Did you fight to the last man? You get what you pay for, Luthor.
The vocal track really helps for when you're acting out the way the characters are actually going to emote in the show. If you're just going off of the script, that's okay, but if you actually have the dialogue track, you can listen to their vocal performance, and it really does make a difference, because whenever we can, we like to act out the characters as much as possible on the storyboard.
You slipped up. And you're going down hard.
We find that it's much better to act to the voice. You have more control of the drawing when you have something in your head already.
It's basically like creating a comic book version of the recording script. It's bringing the story to life. So basically what you see on the screen is pretty much something that was figured out at a storyboard stage. And now we're going to talk about the process of using storyboards for animation.
I'm going to enjoy this.
This is a section of a storyboard where Green Lantern's beam shoots in, trying to encase the shade. Shade generates shadows from his cane. The description here is DX green. That's how we call for the Green Lantern effects. On the bottom, the green halo. Shade's shadows stop the green sphere from forming around him, so it pushes it back. The shadows push the green beam OS. OS means off-screen. The shadows are tracked into the cane. Shade says, "Let me get us out of here." Luthor watches the battle. Shade lifts his cane. He just says battle here. That's just a simple description of the action. There's Superman fighting Ultra Humanite. There's Solomon Grundy with the Flash spinning around him. There's Star Sapphire, the purple aura glowing around her. Hawkgirl is smashing the aura. Green Lantern is floating with his green aura around him. All of that in one shot. Luthor, angry. Shade looks at Luthor OS again, off screen. He raises his cane, and the shadows spill out of the cane and fills the frame to black. We cut to Batman being overcome by poison because he's just been bitten by Copperhead. Shadows creep in. Batman falls to the ground as the shadows flow over him.
Luthor, they're too well organized. Let me get us out of here. It's either that or prison again. All right, just do it.
The storyboard is the show. It literally is the show. If you gave, the same script to two different storyboard artists, you're going to get two completely different versions of the same story, right? So the storyboard literally nails down in visual terms exactly what the story is.
I kind of like to allow a board guy to have some freedom and play with it first before I get my fingers in it and start messing with them. You've got to explain things, and you've got to get the ball rolling and make sure it's on the same page. And Bruce and James are always there to tell you what they want in the show and how they envisioned it, because they're very close to the scripts.
The storyboard is the literal blueprint of what the actual episode will be, even more so than the script, which is not to denigrate the scripts. The scripts are all important. You can have the best action, high production value cartoon of all time, but if the story's no good, it's not a good cartoon.
You get the information and you try to get it out to people so that they can understand what producers want. And if they don't get it right, then that's my job, is to go and tweak it and make it work, and it'll all be one cohesive vision.
Mission accomplished.